Hello and welcome back to week number 3 of CNMS 165, and today what we're going to do is go over lists and tables. However, what we need to do first is create our index file for that page. We'll keep working with this index from week number 2. So we'll go to File, Save As, navigate to our week number 3 folder, go into Practice, and save this as index.html. We'll then do Save As Type and All Files. Hit Save, and we are now in week number 3. However, if we were to load up this page in Firefox, we see that our image is not going to work. There are a couple of things that we can do to make it so that this will work. First off, we could add alternative text, also known as alt text, and we would call it SMCC logo. If we save the file and load up the web page, we see that it now says SMCC logo. But what we really want to do is make it so that it knows where the image is. So we'll go back into our file and we're going to have it navigate to where this image is saved. So first off, we need to know where the image is saved. So if we go into our folder structure, we know that it's being saved under week 2 Practice, Images, and it's in the CNMS 165 folder. So what we need to do is make it so that the website is going to be able to figure out how to get to this image. If we go to week number 3, we know that our index is being saved within week 3 Practice. So there are 2 folders that are blocking it from CNMS 165. What we will do is add ... which that represents practice, and then we'll add ... / again, and that represents week 3. So now we are telling it that it needs to go to CNMS 165, and then it will be able to find week number 2, and then it will find practice. And then it will be able to find images smcclogo.jpg. So if we hit save now, and we go over to our website and hit refresh, our logo is back. So now that our website's up and working, let's go ahead and add a list and a table. To make a list is very simple. We'll go back into our notepad file, and we'll go into our paragraph, and we'll create a list. There are a couple of types of lists that we can make. There are unordered lists, ordered lists, and description lists. The 2 most common are unordered and ordered. Description lists, however, have become a little bit popular. For this particular tutorial, we're going to do an unordered list. Once we have decided what type of list we're going to create, we need to add some list items. List items are written as LI. They're closed as LI as well. Within our list item, we can say item 1. We could then say item 2. And then we could finish up with item number 3. We then need to close our unordered list. And then if we hit save and refresh our page, we see that we have added a bullet point list for item 1, 2, and 3. An unordered list will do bullet points unless you stylize them using CSS. We haven't gone over that yet, but we will soon. However, say we change this into an ordered list, and then refresh our page, we see that it now has numbers connected to it. And then if we were to change it into a detail list, we see that it's still using the bullet points from an unordered list, however our items have been pushed in. This is because a detailed list does not add that type of styling to the list. So let's go ahead and change this back to an unordered list. And let's go ahead and replace these items with something that truly matters. So we can take our Go to SMCC website and put that into where list item number 1 is. And we can paste it into number 2 and number 3 as well. If we go to the SMCC website, we see that there's the Apply Now, the Ask SMCC, and Blackboard. These are all links that students would be interested in. So let's go ahead and go to Ask SMCC, copy the URL, and paste that into our href for list item number 2. And let's go ahead and change our Go to SMCC website text to Ask SMCC. And let's copy the link for our Blackboard as well. And let's paste that into our list item number 3 and change the text to SMCC Blackboard. Let's go ahead and hit save and load up our file. We now see that we have Go to SMCC website, Ask SMCC, and SMCC Blackboard. These will all load up the correct pages that we have just said. So we have created our list. Lists have become very popular for navigations. Now what we're going to do is create our table. Our table is not going to go inside of our paragraph, so we're going to enter from below the paragraph area and create our table tag. The table tag is probably the easiest tag to remember because we literally are just writing table. However, the tags that go inside of it are a little more confusing. We have tags such as table header, which is used as the head of the table, table row, which is used as the rows of a table, and table data. Table data will go inside of table rows, and these will be used to create the columns for the for our table. We're then going to close up our table row, and then we could also close up our table. So within this, we have a 1 column, 1 row table that is going to have a header. So let's go ahead and name our header as table 1. Nothing is going to go inside of the table row because everything that we write is going to go within the table data. So we're going to call this data 1, and then we're going to save. If we go over into our website and refresh, we now see table 1 and data 1. However, we really don't see much that makes this a table. What we can do is add an element onto our table called border. We're then going to set our border as 1 and then save the file. If we refresh, we now see that we have a border going around our table. So let's go back into our HTML file and add another column. Let's save our file and go back into our HTML page and refresh. We now see that we have a blank spot on our table header. So the table header would be used to say what type of data is in the column below it. And we see that we have 2 columns created. What we could do for our table header, if we want it to span across the whole way, is do call span. Call span is pretty simple. It stands for how many columns this particular data is going to span across. So if we know that we want it to span across 4 columns, we could enter equals 4. And then we could save. If we go over into our page and hit refresh, we see that we do not have 4, however it is still over the 2. If we go into our table data and add 2 more datas for data 3 and data 4 and save, and then refresh our page, we see that our table header is still going across. However, if we were to add on another table data for data number 5, our table header is no longer going to span across that section. So now we've created a table that has 4 columns and a header. However, we want to make it so that it's got some more data going down. So we would create another table row. So what we can do is call this data 1, row 2. And data 2, row 2, data 3, row 2, and data 4, row 2. We can save this and refresh our page and see that our page has automatically generated with more data. So we have created our table, we have created a list, and we made it so that our image is linked to another folder. We have done a lot today. So let's end this video, and I'll see you again next time.